Before we came to America, we were living in the East by the Nile River, living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes and slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So my friend, it's easy to tell, white man heaven is a black man hell.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Master Farad Muhammad said 6 words to us, and these were the 6 most powerful words that he spoke. He said, accept your own and be yourself. Accept your own. The Caucasians who brought our fathers into slavery desired to take us away from our own people, our own culture, our own religion, our own God, our own language. So we have grown up in America away from our own mind, away from our own selves, and so we have been actually indoctrinated with an alien mentality.
10,000 fearless men. Because we're going to have to challenge the things that are destroying our community. So this ain't no punk time. This ain't no temple time, mosque time, or church time. All the singing and shouting and preaching is over. Get in them streets now. Block by block. We're going to have to clean it up. The airwaves is not enough. The television screen is not enough. You got to put boots on the ground who are trained and are willing to make the sacrifice of life itself to see our community made a decent place to live.
Attention. Drill.
Soldiering is a part of the Nation of Islam, and it readies all of us to obey the commands of God. Now some will ask, well, why military drill? Because this is what produces the camaraderie.
Facebook and Instagram thought that they could ban the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
But in reality, they can't, because he already lives in us and millions of others.
قل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم
غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
In the name of Allah, Master Fard Muhammad, the one true and living God to whom praise is due forever, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his messenger. Peace, family, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of WHID-FM. WHID-FM is your personal platform where those of us striving to follow the life-giving, life-saving teachings of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as given to us by his premier pupil, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, gather right here in this virtual meeting place to answer that most critical question of what has Islam done for me. It's February 2nd, and at this time we're going to turn it over to our guest co-host, who is a wonderful, studious sister from Chicago, and she is none other than Sister Louida Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
February 7th. Yes, ma'am, and you'll read the bios at this time?
Yes, sir. I heard someone talking in the background. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I further bear witness that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his messenger. I would like to take a moment to say thank you for the opportunity to co-host WHID-FM. Sister Tiffany Muhammad declared to her family and friends that she was a student of the Nation of Islam while in high school in Phoenix, Arizona at the age of 15. She became an official registered member of the Nation of Islam in Houston, Texas at Muhammad Mosque number 45 at the age of 20 on December 1997. Sister Tiffany graduated from Texas Southern University in 1998. She completed graduate school, Barbara Jordan Mickey Leland School of Public Affairs, earning a master's degree in public administration and Thurgood Marshall School of Law in 2004. She joined the Nation of Islam's attorney group in October 2005. Tiffany is a California-based attorney and entrepreneur. Her areas of practice include immigration, personal injury, and sports and entertainment. Tiffany is a certified contract advisor for the National Football League. Tiffany had the pleasure to exclusively serve two very special clients her first 10 years of her career. Her husband, the late and great Captain Shahid Muhammad, and their son, Ibn Shahid Muhammad. She proclaims that one of her proudest accomplishments and purest joys was being a stay-at-home wife and mother. Tiffany was admitted to Missouri Bar U.S. Court for Eastern District of Missouri and New York State Bar. As a follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Sister Tiffany has participated in marathons and triathlons competition for many years. She believes that physical fitness is one of the most important investments one can make in themselves. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated that walking is the best form of exercise. Hence, exercising is not an option, it's mandatory. You can read more on Sister Tiffany's participation in marathons and triathlons in the greatest newspaper in the universe, the Final Call newspaper. Our sister is featured in volume 44, number 13, dated January the 6th, 2025, a collector's edition bearing the picture of our beloved brother Minister Don Muhammad on its illustrious cover. YaSinah Muhammad is an advocate, a publisher, an author, a public speaker, and an assistant student minister at Muhammad Mosque number 1. She's a certified anti-human trafficking educator, an instructor at Stepping Stones Online Education, and Dianetics auditor. Her expertise and real life experience have helped and supported different organizations in creating training programs, strategies, videos, and outreach materials for human traffic awareness. Born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, Sister YaSinah joined the Nation of Islam at Muhammad's Mosque number 55 in 1996 and has served in many capacities, including working as the student assistant minister to student minister Patricia Muhammad in Holly Springs, Mississippi, a student assistant to student minister Rasul Muhammad, and currently student minister Troy Muhammad in Detroit, Michigan. She has also worked for various Muhammad University of Islam schools. Since relocating in Michigan, Sister YaSinah has worked with different organizations, including from Girls to Goddess, Citizens, Radio Patrol of Detroit, Alternative for Girls, and other organizations. She also writes, transcribes, and publishes books through her business, Video E2 Books LLC. Sister YaSinah is currently the director of anti-human trafficking at Righteous Sons, a board member of Silent Crimes, and an educator of Islamic history, world history, and women's studies. She currently resides in Michigan with her family. We will provide the information later in the chat for bookings and consultations. Thank you. I would like to get started and ask a couple of questions, if that's okay. Is that okay for me to get started?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. This question is going to be for the both of you. Sometimes because of our personal trials and tribulations, or even the pain of abuse on any level, can throw us, I should say, into our purpose. What is or was the inspiration behind all that you both do of service and helping humanity? Sister Tiffany first, maybe?
Sure. Thank you, sister. Beautiful, beautiful question. Just to make sure I answer the question correctly. You asked me what has been a source of inspiration to overcome difficulty, more or less?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So for me, I would say most definitely it has to be my relationship that I continue and that I am developing with Allah in regards to how it's a personal relationship, I would say more or less, where I've learned through the course of trial and of course studying and being in these teachings, I understand clearly that struggle is ordained. So yes, knowing that, and I'm just so blessed to get the wisdom and the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad at a young age, it really gives me not the blueprint, but it assures me that, first of all, struggle is ordained by Allah God. So just knowing that alone, it brings me, and we have a whole study guide, number 3, I think of off the top of my head, where overcoming difficulty. And just understanding that you're going to go through struggle. We're made, Allah made us impatient. So when we when we desire a thing or have a goal or something happens that is not our desire, we have to have the patience. We have to develop the patience. And that's when the struggle for me occurs. So knowing that struggle is ordained and knowing that anything of value, anything of great significance, it comes through a lot of pain. Meaning, I know when I study and understand that Allah has developed my gifts and talents, they're inside of me. And the only way that I'm going to be able to manifest is if I struggle. So just knowing that alone, when a problem comes up, I'm already identified. I already know. So that helps me to kind of be patient and to help me. And of course, 17 rak'ahs are highly effective and necessary that we are to do a day. But it really helps, and it helps me to be able to be patient and to be resilient, to learn to be resilient, and just know, that it's ordained. But at the end of the day, if we submit, and to the degree that I submit, I'll be on the other side. So just knowing that, it increases my taqwa, like it increases my whole mental strength. So I just try to use that and just rely on Allah. That's what I'm learning to do.
All praises due to Allah. Beautiful answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sister YaSinah.
Sister Walida, ask that question one more time.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Sometimes, because of our personal trials and tribulations, or even the pain of abuse on any level, can throw us into our purpose. What is or was the inspiration behind all that you do of service in helping humanity?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sister Tiffany, for your response. For me, what's driven me here to where I am now is I'm from the world of human trafficking. So I see where Allah has brought me. And I want those who Allah blesses me to go after to feel what I feel, to experience life, because in that world you experience death. But the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the love of the three, I know, because of that, I know what life is. So I want to give back as much as I can what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is giving to us, who's given to me. So following his footstep and passing on, striving real hard to be a disciple. Real hard. I mess up sometimes, but I'm striving hard. But striving to be a disciple of Jesus. So just like Jesus opened the eyes of the blind, that's what I'm striving to do. Giving to those who are in need. That's what I'm striving to do. So I'm striving to give back as much as I can, pour life into others, like I'm being blessed to have life poured into me by knowing who the God is and who the Jesus is in our midst. So that's how I answer that question.
Beautiful answer from both of you all. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, sisters.
Praise be to God.
One more question before I pass it on. It's a myth that Black people don't swim. Why do you believe we, as Black people, don't attempt this particular discipline? Because when I was reading your bio, Sister Tiffany, both of you all have really encouraged me, and I've really fed off of your strength. And I wanted to ask you, what is it about us as Black people in our culture that we don't attempt that particular discipline?
So I'll answer that.
Okay,
again,
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. This is my hadn't done formative research, but I did quick Google search, and I was interested to know what percentage of persons were, basically knew how to swim, and not particularly us over in the West, but I wanted to know. I wanted to know those surrounded by water, like Jamaica, Haiti, because Bahamas. It's so beautiful and extravagant. So I just knew, I was confident, but I just remembered the people I knew personally here in the States. They didn't know how to swim, and they were from the Caribbean. So that's why I kind of Google searched it, and I was just astonished. I was in disbelief to learn they have pretty much the same numbers. I don't really recall. A quick Google search will tell you, but it was more or less 75, 85% could not swim. So to me, I'm thinking, what do they do with that water? But essentially, it's so beautiful, but it's still the same more or less. So for me, I just my own observations, opinion. I believe that number one, we don't swim because it's not necessarily accessible. And I'm talking over here because it's really accessible in the islands. So, but just over here, that was what I kind of thought initially on the physical. It may have some spiritual, but first physically, I believe that most people didn't have a swimming pool in their backyard, and the swimming pools, at least when I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, they were limited, or non-existent. So you have to have accessibility to something to be able to to become an expert or even competent in it. That goes with your baseball, different other sports too, that requires you to have accessibility. So, but I guess maybe it's not the spiritual or fear factor, but because it is accessible in the Caribbean, the water's right there. So it has to be deeper than just us not having a pool in the backyard, which is a real issue as well. But I believe there must be something on on a cellular level, and I forgot what that's called when I know Minister Abdul Malik, our minister here, talks about things that we have in our DNA based on something that happened in the past to our ancestral. I forget what that's called. So I believe that has to be an issue. Again, you're in the Caribbean and you all are not, able to swim. So just to keep it local, I think more or less the accessibility and then that fear. The fear of I can't, I won't be able to breathe during a workout. So I just think that once we, make it a point to conquer that fear, which I think we all, and I definitely encourage everyone, I'm going to encourage you to do some type of form of physical activity. Of course, walking is, mandatory, but in addition, something that you love. But swimming, I think that's something that I think every one of us, why I think we should accomplish and conquer that if that is a fear for you. I think it will do such wonderful things, of course, on all levels, but not to have too an extensive answer. I would highly, I think that the accessibility and then just that fear is just making it not even an option, where I really wish and encourage others to really, I really encourage us to go out and face that fear. Take a class, learn to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All praise is due to Allah. You really opened up the mind of our people and anyone else that has that fear. You're the face for it because reading your bio, I was just so impressed at the strength and the mental strength that you have and exude. I'm very proud of you. I would say that, and both of you all, to be honest. Yes, ma'am. All praises I do to Allah. Sister YaSinah, what gave you the courage to be transparent about your walk and then turning your pain into purpose? I heard someone say that the things that we've experienced, our trauma, our trials, the pain of abuse, didn't happen to us. It happened through us as for service for someone else.
That's
So
right.
what gave you the courage to be transparent about your walk to be that new woman in Christ?
So let me, Sister Tiffany, what you were looking for, the term is epigenetics.
Thank you, sis.
You're welcome. And I come from, just tracing my family history, I come from a family of human trafficking. So I wouldn't have the courage, let me just be honest, I wouldn't have the courage that I have to speak the way that I speak about my walk were it not for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's just that's just an actual fact.
Mm, mm, mm.
When he talked about his mother and the extenuating circumstances of his birth, as I began to develop in my Islam, and I knew I wanted to tell about my journey, that's what I went to. And that's the God honest truth.
Yes, ma'am. All praises due to
I
Allah.
I can't say I want to be a savior and save somebody else if I keep the most critical part of what led me to Islam a secret.
Mm.
I'm not though I walk around like I have pixie dust and dandelions flying all over me. People who know me would tell you. I can't, it'll be a lie for me to say I fell from heaven. That's a lie. I had to come out of hell to understand what it is to live in heaven. And so I girded up my loins.
Mm.
When God pushes you to do something, and this is from my own experience, you can run, but you can't hide. If he wants you, where you going?
I know that's right. Go ahead, teach, sister. Hmm.
So I ran. I'll just be honest. I was like, and no, I'm not. I'm not telling these people my business.
Mm-hmm.
But my business is God's business.
Mm.
Beautiful.
He said, I created you in the womb of your mother. I knew you before you were a speck. Yes, I did. I wrote your life story, ma'am. It's not yours.
Mm. Mm.
So I stopped running.
Yes, ma'am.
And when I stopped running and I sat my little 4 feet 10-inch tail down, I listened to God. And I opened my mouth. And I started helping people. And I haven't stopped.
Praise be to Allah.
So I hope that answered your question.
Did answer my question. Thank you. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
I'm going to pass it on over to Brother West to ask you a few questions as well. Brother West?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Walaikum salam, sir.
It's great to have you both on tonight. And I wanted to get started with my first question, just asking you both, what was your vision for yourself when you first registered in the Nation of Islam? And would you say that you've walked into that version of yourself that you wanted to become, or are you still on that course? And we can start with you, Sister Tiffany.
Thank you. Excellent question. Most definitely still on course. Understanding that, you never stop learning. You're always a student. But in regards to the vision, looking back, as stated in the bio, I became familiar with the teachings at the age of approximately 15 years old. And I was registered between 19 and 20. So the vision that I had, because I was just so super impressed with to be honest, with the men. First, I was impressed with the FOI. I was just floored. I could not believe that there were, men in this world, Black men, who genuinely love their Black woman. Keep in mind, I'm from Phoenix, and who had, more importantly, the morality and the character. That was very. It just did something to me. I was 19, hadn't seen a lot, but for some reason that was important to me. I can remember that stuck out. Just FOI. So it wasn't until I was in the processing class and registered, and it was time to put on the garment, physically and spiritually. Because of course, one has to be honest. You sit and you listen to just several of any meetings at Muhammad's temple. or mosque, naturally it's natural and you are in agreement to it. But when you sign up to volunteer to this army, to become a guide, it's a big commitment. So I knew at that point, it's definitely what I need to do. And I knew that it would make me the most, as this promise and the supreme wisdom, that we would be the most, I guess I'm kind of competitive by nature. So I'm like, you mean to tell me the most, what does it say? 14, the MGT, the epitome of all women. To me, that did something to me. I'm like, whoa. So my young mind, and still, it just means so much to be in the ranks of high civilization, the hallmark, as we're taught. That to me is the ultimate, right? That's all I ever wanted to do. I want to be in the ranks of the gods and be among the righteous women, because it's not easy. So me being me, that's a real challenge in itself, but it just meant so much. And specifically for me, I knew that I'll be able to accomplish everything that I wanted to do, because I knew at a young age I wanted to be an attorney. So I knew, and I didn't like reading, so I knew I need to get with some program, right? So we have to read when you're in Nation of Islam, right? You have to understand and know God, right? Ain't no believing, you got to know God. So and the wisdom and the beauty of the teachings in Islam is, it makes one want to read. So it just, all the vision, it was just clear, crystal clear, to know that if I submit and demonstrate discipline, I can accomplish anything. So to me, that was, that's it. So, I mean, it's 28 years in at this point, maybe 30, just knowing it, learning the teachings. And I'm just learning. I'm still a student, always a student. And am I getting closer to my vision? Absolutely. All I have to do is go to my class. No, but it's just so rewarding. It's so beautiful. And what I'm talking about is the wisdom, that's developed, the heart purification, learning to be in this world feminine, as they say. It's just our nature. So I'm able to do all that and repelling the devil, and it's just magnificent and it's nothing better. So yes, sir. My vision is I'm on course, but I'm definitely on target. So alhamdulillah.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, man. Praise be to Allah. And you, Sister YaSinah.
I am on my way, inshallah. My vision coming into the nation, my vision even before the nation, but particularly when I came into the ranks of Muhammad, I wanted to be a Baptist preacher when I was coming up in the church, but I kept getting kicked out of Sunday school. So, got kicked out all the way up until I was 16. Badge of honor. Then when I joined the ranks of Muhammad, I wanted to be in the student ministry, and I'm blessed to do that. But my ultimate goal, Brother West, if I can be like Mary Magdalene, where Matthew called her the apostle of the apostle, if I can just walk in those shoes, where at the end of my journey, that I have not only downloaded the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the guidance of the honorable minister Louis Farrakhan, but where my life represents that. And I want to be in that number. So I don't know where I am in the number yet, but I just want to be in that number. How the church says, I want to be in that number when the saints go marching in. I want to be on the good side of history, still under these teachings, still doing the things that I know I'm called to do. But that's it. And to be a righteous Muslim, because all those titles that of things that I do. I'm very grateful, but I want to be a righteous Muslim and be good and write a new history for my family lineage. So that's what I want to do. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. All praise is due to Allah indeed. And my next question, before we turn it over to Brother Westmead for some of his questions, I want to ask you if you could both describe the level of sisterhood amongst the MGT compared to other organizations like sororities or maybe other sisterhood groups that could be out there. If you could describe how strong the sisterhood is amongst the MGT. And we can start with you, Sister YaSinah.
Okay, let me tell you. What Master Fard Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Minister Farrakhan are building with the level of love amongst Black women who, if you talk to an average Black woman in the street, not to put one of my sisters, I'm gonna say it anyway, on Front Street, but she says, it's hard having women for friends. And I said, that's why I got sisters. It's not hard, it's you don't know how to do it. Case in point, what's the love of the sisterhood? Sister Tiffany and I oops up on the conversation before we got on this call today. And we ended up on the phone, I think it was over an hour or close to an hour. Because that's my sister. Never met her before today. But that's an MGT. I'm an MGT. So there's no love like it's fusion. There's no love like the sisterhood that you get in the Nation of Islam. It's a genuine love. Now we got our ups and downs and our turnarounds, because we're human. But these teachings and what we're taught in our class of the value of the woman, of how God sees her, how the Christ sees her, how the Jesus in our midst sees her, then I want to see my sister everywhere. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that every time he looks into the face of a Black man or a Black woman, he's looking in the face of God. So every time I see my sister, I'm seeing a reflection of Allah. So how will I treat God? I treat her with the same love, respect, and dignity as I would myself. So that's what the beauty and the value. Yes, it's the 7 units, but it's that love of that sisterhood. And when you got a good captain, you got a good lieutenants, you got good soldiers whose minds are on building a nation, whose minds are on reflecting Mary, whose minds are on reflecting the beauty and the value, whose minds are on reflecting our mothers of the faithful. That's the sisterhood. That's the sisterhood. There's nothing, I'll tell anybody, there's nothing like the MGT. Nothing that ever was and ever will be.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. And Sister Tiffany, did you have anything to add?
There's nothing left now. I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. Of course, I can add something, right? I was going to say, great job, sis. But she hit it right out where she gave the basis and the principle or the foundation, which is Master Fard Muhammad. Allah appearing in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. God is a man. So that being the basis and the foundation, that makes us in everything different. It makes everyone who believes that, it's an automatic, bond. Not just, that's what truth is. Truth is the basis of harmony and unity. And with that truth, we are connected. We are bonded. I would say that I do belong to a sorority, so I could qualify this. Sororities are great in regards to what they stand for. You got a group of academic women who have, strive to have moral principles and do do service for mankind. So that's great principally, but the basis is what the MGT and what we stand for, the Nation of Islam. It's divine. So it's a wonderful thing, to have these different groups, and it's no knock against them. Proud to be a part of one. I'm not that active because you can't do with so many things in your life, but and I obviously choose to be at my MGT class. As my father say, I usually call one of my elders on my way to class, forever, and my dad say, "You going to your lifelong class?" "Yes, sir." So it's just a beautiful thing. Nothing can compare, as she stated profoundly. So yes, sir. There's no comparison, more or less.
Yes, ma'am. All praise is due to Allah, and thank you for that testimony of being in a sorority. And with that, we'll turn it over to you, Brother Wesley.
All praise is due to Allah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet my beloved sisters with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Brother Wesley.
I am thoroughly enjoying the show thus far. Thank you so much for y'all responses to those questions so far. And I just have a few questions to ask. Just in reading your article, Sister Tiffany, you spoke a lot about it. It was a common thread throughout your article in reference to thanking Allah and being grateful. Can you speak to how critical and impactful it is to remain grateful through adversity and through overcoming challenges?
Oh, absolutely, sir. Pretty much it's the only thing that's going to get you through it. But no, it's so important. We have to even look back at the children of Moses, right? Once they were, Allah came and gave them what they were, need for. You cannot be of those who forget to be grateful, right? We have to always remain to be grateful. It is such the key component, I would say. And I even heard once, even if you don't have anything to be grateful for, because everything's seasons, there's cycles to life. And sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. That's just how it goes. So even when you're down and you don't have anything to be grateful for, be grateful for somebody else. You need to work on it, make it a muscle, right? To practice on gratitude, because essentially it is the fabric in which, your faith and your future lies. So I would say, I believe the question was in regards when you're going through hard times, hard struggles. That
Yes,
factor, yes, sir. That factor of gratitude, to me, I'm not a mathematician, but it's like scientific. I say that to the depths and the degree of your faith and your ability to be grateful and have that attitude and perspective, because that's what everything is determined by, to me, of course, in regards to when things happen that you don't want, but your ability to not just consider what's happening right now, but to have the foresight to be able to be in it, you see, but you can put your mind and focus on what it will be. Because literally in that moment, your perspective is creating your future. So when you understand that, you got to max it out and essentially don't concentrate on how you feel at the moment, because it's so irrelevant for the next moment, if you understand. So once we start to think in that manner, we can understand where in Allah, where it says in the Quran, rather, where Allah says in part, be and it is. So you have to work and do the service, meaning you have to have the mind and the perspective, not of what's maybe harming you, hurting you, or whatever's going on in that moment, but to have the faith to know and to demonstrate and to keep going, to be able to make and create the next moment manifest according to your desires. So I know I have to go into my husband. I call my husband. He was a great demonstrator of that. Oh, let me tell you, the strength in the mind, it's like the mental strength and stamina that I was able to witness. It gave me, I may sound like I know something, but it's only when you live with someone and you learn and you know and you watch them and you observe them go over obstacles, it just really strengthens your faith. So with that, be in an environment, have that in your type circle of friends, if you could, to be able to help you, encourage you, to strengthen you if you're weak. Some of us, sometimes we're strong, sometimes we're weak. But I would just say I was so blessed to be able to experience. It was an experience of such just a mighty Muslim is what I would say. It's just dynamic. But that's what I learned. So that's what I contribute, what little I know to.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. And you, Sister YaSinah?
Ask me the question one more again. I got lost in Sister Tiffany's response.
Praise be to Allah. Just in reference to the importance, how critically important it is, and the impact of staying grateful or having gratitude during trial and adversity.
It's very important. Because every trial that we go through, and I learned this as I mature, every trial that we go through it's to help us. There's a lesson in it. So I may not like the trial, but struggle is ordained. And the minister said it beautifully when he said that, you don't know who you are. Now, I'm paraphrasing. You don't know who you are or what you have in you until you go through some trials. And they don't last long. So I'm learning to look for the lessons. What is I'm supposed to get from it? How is this helping me? And the beauty is they don't last long. So sometimes the answers that I'm looking for, I don't get them inside the trial because you inside the trial. But when I look back on them, I see how much more advanced I am in my thinking, how much more advanced I am in my patience with myself and with processes. Because I can't say, I'm trying to be a God, Brother Wesley, and I'm going to go through some things. It's just not, for me, I have to remind myself that it's not an abracadabra thing. So just going through it, and just as I'm going through it, I have a saying in the morning especially after I get off my prayer work for Fajr. I say today is a great day. I have determined it. No matter what happens, good or bad, it's a great day. I say it every morning. When I go to bed at night, and as I'm reflecting on all the things that took place that day, today was a great day. I determined it. So the gratitude is, hey, I'm alive to even go through the trial. Hey, I'm under these teachings, and I have guidance where other people don't have guidance to help me get through the trial. Because closing the gap is my best friend. I've gone through two. And the minister in Closing the Gap has wonderful, wonderful advice for us as we're going through trials. So being grateful, showing gratitude in it, and be like Job. Don't curse God. Just know that your change is gonna come. Assalamu alaikum.
Wow, alaikum salam. Praise be to Allah. Beautiful responses. My second question is this, kind of on the other side of trial and adversity when it comes to challenges. So, Sister Tiffany, you have done, and I'm sure continuing to run triathlons. You went to the Ironman competition as well. And can you describe, and you as well, Sister YaSinah, the feeling that it is to be able to accept a challenge or face a fear, and step into that unknown, what that feeling is like, and describing that and being able to endure that and get to the other side, actually accomplishing the challenge. We can start with you, Sister YaSinah, then we go to Sister Tiffany.
Okay.
It's so, it's that boom, 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 boom kind of feeling, and I'll have those, depending on what it is. I have those moments where I want to put my skates on and go the opposite direction. But then it's like, and then what? Because here's the thing about trials. Every time we run from one, it comes back. That same one comes back around, just same script, different cast. Or same script, same cast, depending on what it is I'm supposed to learn from it. I'm speaking from experience. But to face it, it's like I got my 3 smooth stones. And my best one is faith. So stepping into situations that have been ordained for me, then I'm learning how to step into them with faith. It may have a little bit of boom, 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 but it's not boom, 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 boom. It's just boom, boom, boom. But having faith that Allah has my back. Master Fard Muhammad has my back. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has my back. And to be on the to go through those things, to face those fears, and then go through it. And then I look back and say, that was real goofy how you felt when but to come on the other side of it with my S on my chest, it's a beautiful thing. There's nothing like facing fear and going through it and coming out on the other side. If you ever watch the Jeffersons, it's a George Jefferson walk. That's what I got to say to that, Brother Wesley.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Sister Tiffany?
Yes, sir. Just to leave with mental, I believe, what I've learned and seen demonstrated, that mental strength, spirituality and mental strength, the connection, it increases your time. So knowing what we learned, the way I look at it is this. Okay, so here's a challenge. Here's something either that I have to do, or something that I'm trying to do just to give me more, increase my strength. Again, the whole goal is to increase my taqwa, to get closer to Allah. So the way I look at it is, now if I don't do this, why not? And if I do, and if I take on the challenge, what would that outcome be? Right? So it's kind of like what they call like a cost benefit analysis, more or less. So you look at it, and I just laugh because I can just think of I can hear my husband's voice at times, because I know the way he thinks in regards to I can't say what he was saying, but not more or less being weak. We'll say that. So you just don't want to be weak in our home, right? The point is it something that's not good for you and that you don't need to do? That's one thing. But if it's the program, if it's what we know and it's already proven that this is going to get you in a better place, and you still don't want to subscribe to it, you're being weak. So you just kind of got to go inward and look at a thing to see, this will benefit me. And you have to get your whys in question. You know, like, why would I want to do this? Why? Because there's real risk. And that brings me to thinking about, let me finish that. There's risk in being default or default duty. There, you pay a price. Have you read that where people say it's gonna hurt either way, right? It's gonna hurt if you do it, you don't do it. You know, it's gonna hurt. So why not reap the benefit in the game, and you know, and go ahead and give it a shot and do it. So I like what I was referring to, the price that you pay in Study Guide, Building the Will. The minister, he said, brothers and sisters, each time we turn away from the struggle to overcome difficulty, there is deterioration of character and there is deterioration of the will. Now, so we have to always be found striving and trying, because we're going to pay an ultimate cost, and it comes with a price. So I believe just if you put that, if you make that determination, if you understand that rather, it kind of makes it a little bit more clear. I think a lot of times we want to maybe walk in the middle and think, you know, not making a decision. That's a decision too. You see? So that's pretty much what I would say how I deal with it.
All praises due to Allah. And I just have one more question here before I pass it to Brother West for our station ID, and we have more questions for you all. What is the first lecture that you heard by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? Excuse me. What was the first lecture that you heard, and what is the off-returning lecture that you go to? And we can start with you, Sister Tiffany.
I wish I could recall the first lecture, but I know my father gave it to me. So it was so beautiful. My father went to the all men's meeting maybe in 92, 93 in Atlanta, Georgia. And he didn't bring me that tape, but he brought me a cassette tape. Because I guess I've been talking about, I had read Message to the Black Man. One of the students had shared it with me. But I do recall in 93, my father gave me a cassette tape. It was over, right? It was over. So that was starting my journey. But of course, the Final Call Radio is always the ultimate favorite. So glad to get off YouTube. But yeah, the Final Call Radio, it has the most amazing mixes of the minister, as you know. But I always have to, if I'm telling somebody to listen to something, it would be The Source of Strength, Cycles of Life, of course, How to Give Birth to a God, number 2. I mean, I have my little go-tos and my favorite, but that's what's so beautiful about the Final Call Radio. And I love, for some reason, I have a special love for the minister's lectures that were, you know, I guess in a certain time period, you know, the Donahue Show, and when he was in the Final Call building. But it doesn't matter. All the lectures, the wisdom is just so amazing. When you hear it, it does something different to you, you know? So I appreciate, Fear of Faith and Truth is incredible. Gotta get that one in you. And then one I wanted to share with the community, God Healing Power. I'm always into health and fitness. I don't know if we have time to go into any of that, but that's an amazing lecture as well that we need to become familiar with.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you. Sister YaSinah, your first lecture, if you recall it, and
Yes.
off returning.
Yes. So the first time I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and just saw him was when he was on the Donahue Show. So, but lecture-wise, Stop the Killing, when he was in Louisville, Kentucky, because it resonated with me and it hit me to my core. In that lecture, he said, "You're not precious because your hair is long or short. You're not precious because your bosom is big or small. You're not precious because your hips are round or straight. You are precious because through you, God is perfecting man and woman." He said, we just want to stop the killing. That lecture, I played it until I messed it up. But that part right there that I quoted has played such a significant part in my development as a woman, and it still does, and in my development as an MGT, and in my development as a mother raising 2 girls. My go-to is Final Call Radio. That's I sleep with the Final Call Radio playing. It resonates through it. I have it in my room, and my girls listen to the Final Call Radio. That's their bedtime story at night. And my go-to is it would be Fear, Faith, and Truth, Sister Tiffany. If not Fear, Faith, and Truth, then I'm listening to Savior's Day, 1997. So those are mine.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you both for those responses. Sister Tiffany, do you need me to switch to the other phone? No. Let me see here. Do we need to switch them?
Please.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. All right. At this time, I would like to turn it over back to Brother West to take us to our station ID. Brother West.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You are listening to WHID-FM. Thank you for tuning in and spending your valuable time, because without you, there is no WHID-FM. If you have any suggestions, please email us at WHID1919@gmail.com. Also, please subscribe to WHID-FM on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. And family, our guests for next week are to be announced, so make sure you keep a lookout on Facebook for our next episode of WHID-FM. And with that, we'll turn it over to you, Sister Louita, for your questions.
Yes, sir. I have 2 questions. What advice, this is for the both of you, what advice would you give to a sister or brother to keep their spirit as high as it was when they first joined the ranks? You see the zeal, you see the light in their eyes, and the passion when you first accept the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. If someone came with their spirit a little broken or their spirit's a little low, how would you advise them to stay in that vein of being high off the word of God and high off these teachings? Sister Tiffany?
Sure. Great question. Yes, ma'am. I would say for sure, obviously we have to stay committed to prayer, knowing that that's the Alpha and the Omega. Essentially, we have to stay in our classes. You have to attend your classes. Some people just don't have a schedule. It's true. But as Sister and I were talking earlier, our pre-conference call, we were talking, but the service, the work, the mission, it's one thing to be in class and then go home and go back to your, plantation or your job, whatever you do. But essentially, if you're not feeding and giving out, these teachings and working in some capacity where you're trying to bring others, sometimes it's just your example. A lot of times that's what sisters, we don't necessarily go in corners, things of that nature. But of course, our presence is in itself the light in darkness. But and that right there, make sure you are an example of this mission, because that feeds it. It gives off energy, right? And it attracts others, and that has a lapse. Like that brings energy back. It takes energy. It brings energy out, and it gives you energy. Yes, so it's important that we keep that. And of course, the bond between brotherhood and sisterhood is important. I think the minister say, or someone say, like, you have a piece of coal by itself, it's not unable to really catch flame and do what it can do when you have a collection of coals where the fire is that much more dominant. So essentially, I think we have to make sure that we are feeding ourselves spiritually, living the life, make sure we have our connections with one another. Everybody's not going to be best friends. It's not even necessary or possible. But essentially, just be found striving to compete for righteousness and, family. We were talking about that earlier. I always incorporate that in whatever I'm speaking of because it's that important, So I'll stop there.
All praises due to Allah. Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sister YaSinah.
Teach, Sister Tiffany.
I know that's right.
She said it. She said
I'm trying
it.
not to bear witness too loud over here, right?
She said it. All of what she said.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you know how trees, when you have two or more trees, every tree is getting something that it needs from the other tree. I surround myself with trees who want to give. I surround myself with sisters and brothers who whistle while they work, who work cheerfully and fear not. And having that sisterhood, having, like Sister Tiffany said, you're around the believers, so having people of like minds around you who, when they see you down, just like the one tree might need a little bit more nitrogen, so I'm gonna lean my head to give that tree a little bit more nitrogen. It's the same way with the sisterhood. I'm only around people who, when I feel my worst, they're gonna check me a little bit, and then we're gonna have a good laugh and then lift each other up. I could do negative Nancy by myself.
Come on.
But nobody wants to hang around somebody who always down.
That's right.
Especially when you have the teachings. So we're every day is not a pixie dust and dandelion day. I get it. But you gotta find your wow factor that makes you want to get up every day, fall in love with the God, fall in love with the Christ, fall in love with the Jesus, fall in love with yourself, and fall in love with the sisterhood, and go out there, like Sister Tiffany said, and do some work. Because when you work, and the messenger said, he gave a long laundry list that left us know, unless you dead, just keep working.
That's right.
Everything was work. You sad work. And when you're giving back, you have no time to look at anything negative.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely no time, because you're doing the work of God. The work of God, I don't know how you can be sad. I don't. Not to say I don't get sad, because I do. But I work. And then if I need to throw a pity party, I'll throw a pity party for a few minutes and then get off my soapbox.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's how I answer that one.
Praise be to Allah. My last question is, could you bear witness that the harder the pain, the closer the delivery? When we are giving birth to our children, the moment that we can't take it anymore, there's the delivery, there's the head. So right when someone may want to give up, they miss out on what the God is trying to do to them and through them, right? So could you bear witness that the harder the pain, the closer the delivery, especially, Sister Tiffany, with the triathlons and the marathons? Were there times that you just wanted to just say, you know what, this is too much? Or did you keep going and was able to bear witness that I'm getting closer to the goal because, man, I can't take it anymore?
Oh yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And that's certainly true physically, but even spiritually. We have to definitely. I was trying to find something. I just have to share, but it'll take me a second. But to answer your question, so to follow to I'm sorry. I want. Is it possible I can find it and his sister can answer the question because I have to share this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sister YaSinah. You're up.
So yes, ma'am. It's okay. Let me tell you a story. It's just real. So in 2017, because we're talking about pain.
Yes, ma'am.
In December 2017, I had a miscarriage. I have two beautiful girls back there. C-section with the first one, natural birth with the second one. Beautiful. I'm so grateful to Allah. 2017, I had a miscarriage. My options, I was 9 weeks. My options were D&C or have it naturally. I signed up for the D&C, but when I called the lady, when I called to make the appointment, she said, "Are you sure?" Well, let me tell you what they're going to do to you. So when she ran down the laundry list, I said, I'll have it naturally. So I gave birth to the baby at home in my bathroom. Allah's my witness. It took 9 days, Sister Louita. In the first 3 days, I gave birth to the fetus. It was, and you can, I had to take pictures of all of this. And there's this little flesh that's forming into a human. I did my own little prayer service, took the pictures, flushed. Next 3 days, umbilical cord. Took the pictures, sent that to the doctors so that they can do what they wanted to do. Third day, this is the ninth day. That dang on placenta. It hurt worse than giving birth. And this was, I went through actual labor pains.
Wow.
For 9 days. That placenta was harder than giving birth to that baby and that umbilical cord. I wanted to give up, but I had to keep going because it's got to come out.
Right.
Because if it's in me, then I'll die. So I couldn't give up. And when I gave that last push, and I'm in there calling on Allah like, "Oh, can you please send me somebody?"
Come on.
And it's just me and the God. Sometimes it's just you and God. And when I pushed it out, there was this relief that came over me that is unforgettable. But I did it. I could have avoided and aborted this process by having the D&C. But I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I've learned and I'm still learning from having done it naturally. I didn't have to do it, but God beckoned me to do it.
Go ahead. Wow.
And I submitted. What that showed me in that time was how strong I am.
Come on.
And that in all situations, but in those critical situations, it's just you and God.
Come on.
But you can't go back. You just got to keep pushing.
Yes, ma'am. All praise is due to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. That's so powerful. Thank you, Sister YaSinah.
Praise be to Allah.
Powerful.
Did you find it, Sister Tiffany?
I did. And I want to mention, to answer specifically in regards to the challenges of the Ironman. So if we have time, I just want to, the Ironman, what it is, it's a triathlon. For those who don't know, it's a like ultra type of triathlon. It's where you have to complete the 3 disciplines, which is swim, bike, run, within 17 hours. I mean, you can do it all, but if you come in at 17:01, guess what, right? So it's not like you're just chilling. You're really trying to get there. So essentially, yeah. So the swim is 2.4 miles, right? So you're literally swimming 2.4 miles, and you have to get out the water in 2 hours or in 20 minutes, or they're confiscating, everything. You wear a thing on your ankle to monitor your time. They will take that if you don't get out so you're in the water you have to get out before 2 hours, 20 minutes to get on a bike, to ride a bike 112 miles and then run a full marathon, 26 miles. So that was the trial. That was what I chose to sign up for. And again, I'm not just doing something physically just to be doing it, but I'm challenging myself because it's something that I feel like I know I could do, and I'm just always trying to do what helps me grow mentally and develop, So that's my and why I do it. So essentially, the training in itself is the rigor, right? So the training absolutely was, it was, I focused on obviously the swimming, but that I just kept building myself up, and it was definitely challenging. It was a struggle, but I knew if I could focus on something, and I could block out everything else. That's like spiritually too. So when you can focus on the goal, and you can't be distracted by this hurts, this is hard, what would they say? When you have a goal and your why in place, you're unstoppable. So that's what I learned, especially with that swimming, because essentially it's like 2.4 miles, just to make it clear. It's like swimming 80 laps up and down is one, or 160 laps up, down. But that's what it is in a pool. But here it is, you're going to be in some cold lake water. So my point is just the journey, and because I only could do, maybe 10 laps at first, and I got up to 20, but I just kept staying focused. And what I shared it with people, I literally had, I had my mind fixed on, I was grateful for something, for 10 laps, and then I would switch. So I was grateful for Allah appearing in the curse of Master Farah Muhammad. I was grateful for all praise due to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, like literally, 10 laps straight. I'm grateful for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm grateful for my mother, my father, my son. That's 6. So I did that where it took away everything else. So when I think about Allah appearing in Master Farah Muhammad, I'm repeating that, and I'm just thinking of all the wisdom and the divine teachings that he's brought us after 66 trillion years. And it just fills me, and I don't remember that I'm swimming, like literally. So the way I learned that, and how you block out the distraction, because you remember we got a brown germ. So that brown germ get busy when we're not focused. That's that service and work. And that's why we fall off and get weak, because we want focus. So I believe once we learn to concentrate and focus and exercise the mind, that's another reason, why we have to exercise, because it's therapeutic. It's actually therapeutic. It's blocking off certain things, even our own body, that can kill us, because everything has toxicity. So the point is, I use that, and I'm very grateful to learn that through sports. And again, I had demonstration from a husband who was, he was always using fitness, even at an older age. He was always literally to the day, he was swimming and riding a bike. So it's not that you're just agile and you can, do things people your age can do. Yes, no, the significance is what it does to your body, your mind. It gives you that degree of ability to focus to accomplish the goal. Because distractions are going to happen. It's not about are they going to happen. It's going to happen. So that's right. What you're using to strengthen your mind. And real quick, this on a spiritual, this is not so connected, but it is related to what we're talking about. When you're talking about developing the 3 stages, first stage being animalistic. And again, what I'm reading is the Holy Quran footnote 2731, where it goes in and it's talking about the Holy Quran recognizes 3 stages of spiritual development. First one, obviously, is animal stage.
Yes,
Then you got the human stage, and
mm-hmm.
then the heavenly or spiritual stage.
Come on.
So we know that we're always, we are to be developing our mind. And I like where it said, this is what made me want to run to it, where it was talking about let's see, I'm trying to see where to start. And the spirit, which is the second stage, a man opposed principles. I'm just going to read it. It says, the spirit, which is the second stage, although blaming a man for the impurities of life, is yet powerless and to resist the evil tendencies as to blot them out. Establish a man's one second of. Okay, the state of struggle with sinful properties. So you ultimately want to get to that heavenly stage. It says this is where the stage where the state of struggle with sinful properties passes away, and an entire change comes over the nature of man, and the former habits undergo a complete transformation. So to me, once we have challenges, we have problems, but if we keep developing and the more we grow, all that we thought was hard, all that we thought was, sacrifice, what a Muslim can't do, we'll learn at the end that it was building our own soul, and developing us spiritually. So that's the connection I have to like fitness and whatnot.
That's very beautiful. All praises due to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
What you said reminded me of that lecture, The Mind of God, when you talked about those 3 stages, because he talked about that in that lecture. Thank you all so much. I'm going to turn it over to Brother Wesley, but thank you for your inspiration, your encouragement, and your willingness to be righteous Muslim girls in training. May Allah bless you both.
You too.
Yes, ma'am. Brother Wesley.
Yes, ma'am. All praises due to Allah. Again, thank you, sisters, for your beautiful responses. Absolutely. Your time spending with us as well. The chat was on fire today. So praise be to Allah. I'm sure someone is and will be on the replays inspired from your testimonies and things that you've shown what Islam is doing and continuing to do for you both. We thank you again for your time tonight. If you enjoy, let me bring up this announcements here real quick. My apologies. Had to make an adjustment there. Praise be to Allah. Here we go. And there we go. Praise be to Allah. If you enjoy what you heard this evening, you can definitely learn more of these life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad at www.noy.org/go-study. You can learn more of these teachings, and you can also find a local study group or mosque in your area to be able to go and see for yourself the Nation of Islam and be able to learn more of these life-giving teachings. You can also call 773-324-6000. That is to our national headquarters as well. Praise be to Allah. And again, you could discover what these teachings are and be able to see what Islam can do for you. Praise be to Allah. Final Call Radio. We've talked about Final Call Radio tonight. If you want to be able to hear these life-giving teachings on the go, we know that the radio of this world always has something destructive for our minds, but listen to something that's positive and upbuilding and hear the beautiful words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Final Call Radio. You can get that at finalcall.com or any app store that you have as well. Speaking of Final Call Radio, Final Call newspaper, the boldest, baddest, in a good way, Black newspaper that you can get. The Final Call newspaper, you find it from any of our brothers, door to door, or on the corners, in your highways and byways, doing the work of going after our people. And this, as you can see, the cover of the latest edition of the Final Call newspaper, Watch the Weather. That is some admonishment that we've been given by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So get the Final Call newspaper. Also think about our brothers and sisters who are behind prison walls as well, and be able to get them a subscription. You also can get a digital version of the Final Call newspaper at finalcalldigital.com. Praise be to Allah. If you would like a book to help our children, our children need information to be able to read and inspire them as well, you can definitely get this book, I Never Knew I Am All That, by our host, Brother Donald Muhammad, but with illustrations by Amina Lay. I Never Knew I'm All That is found on Amazon and is a book to be able to uplift our children and provide them with resources as well to inspire them to continue on in life. Praise be to Allah. If you would like to hear the reality of God every Sunday in Richmond, Virginia, if you're in the Richmond, Virginia, or close to the Richmond, Virginia area, Muhammad Mosque number 24, you can hear the reality of God by Brother Student Minister Tracy Muhammad, the local representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, at 801 Prince Hall Drive, Richmond, Virginia, 23224. You can go to noirichmond.org or call 1-800-450-7836. If you're in the Baltimore area, Muhammad Mosque number 6 in Baltimore, Maryland, you can join them for the renewing of your mind every Sunday at 11 a.m. at 2801 North Dukeland Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21216. You can go to their website at www.noibmore.com or call 410. I can't see that on my side. I believe that's 567-9371. Praise be to Allah. As we are aware, and if you're not aware, it is Savior's Day season. February 23rd, 2025. All roads lead to Chicago. The keynote will be Repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. This will be planning to be delivered by the National Assistant of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Brother Student Minister Ishmael Muhammad. If you are able to make it out to Chicago, again, that is February 23rd. All roads lead to Chicago. But if not, you can go to NOI.org. There will be the webcast and stream there as well. It's going to be a beautiful message. All praises due to Allah. That is our announcements. We would like to again thank our beautiful guests here, Sister YaSinah, Sister Tiffany. Thank you again for your time. We also want to thank Brother Donald for putting together this platform of WHID-FM. And what has Islam done for me? We also like to thank Sister Cynthia Muhammad for all that she does in supporting Brother Donald behind the scenes and the work that she does to help him keep this platform going. We want to thank our special guest co-host, Sister Lawita Muhammad, for those very timely and great questions that she asked. And we also want to thank Brother West for those beautiful questions that he asked as well, and those responses. We can't go far without thanking the viewing audience and listening audience for their support and continued support, because without your support, there will be no WHID-FM. But we thank you for your time and spending with us and liking, sharing, and commenting every Sunday when you come on, when we are on, to be able to show support. But when we speak of what does Islam done for me, we cannot thank Allah in the person of Master Fard Muhammad enough for raising one to be his living and exalted Christ, the eternal leader of the nation of Islam, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we thank them both for leaving our midst, their divine servant, the divine leader, teacher, and guide in our midst today, their divine reminder and warner, the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It is in their names that we would like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum as always. But before we go out, we have Muhammad moment from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and this Muhammad moment is taken from the lecture entitled The Power of God to Heal the Black Man and Women of America. This was delivered October 13th, 1991. You can get this lecture and many lectures by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at store.finalcall.com. But let's enjoy tonight's Muhammad moment before we go to Brother West for prayer.
The guards that were in the camp, the cook, everybody ran thinking that the weight had hurt me. And when they ran over, they saw the little frail brother with 305 pounds over his head. Now, wait a minute. I'm telling you something that means something to me. I'm not trying to show off no strength. I didn't lift no 305 pounds. As a person, I can't do that. But with Allah, there ain't nothing I can't do. My mind was focused on God. That's my point. And the impossible became possible. And then when I reflect on the chapters that Elijah Muhammad gave me to study before he left, one of them is the 73rd surah. He said in it, rise by night and pray, for I shall entrust you with a weighty word. I am the man that's about to be entrusted with that weighty word. And as you don't think I'm able to carry 300 or 400 pounds on my back, you don't think I'm able to carry the weight of Quran. But God makes a man able to carry what he makes him to carry. This is not the Quran that the book is talking about. This is a sign of the book that is coming to guide you into the hereafter. This book leads you up to the hereafter. The Bible don't take you into the kingdom. The Bible gets you to the door and leaves you. Before he can put new wine in an old vessel, the old vessel got to be made right. I'm an example now of a vessel that is being renewed, restored right in front of your eyes. I will not get older. I will get younger. No, I don't need no applause. I just want people to think. God wants you to look at me because he's going to do something with me that even though you're looking at it, you won't believe it. He wants you to listen to me because he's going to give me something to tell you that you should hear. It's time now. That's the point. And when it's time for something, nothing can hold it back. Regardless to how it comes, if it's time for you to know something, God will put it where it belongs, but you got to wrestle with it. Like I was fighting and struggling with that weight, but I finally got it up. That's the way it is with knowledge. When you come into knowledge that is beyond you, you wrestle with it, and it looks like it's going to throw you, but then you got to call on God. And when you call on God, he is always there when his servants call, and before you know it, you'll have the power to lift any weight. And that's the same way it is with burdens. Your burdens are light, and that's why Jesus said, all ye that are heavy laden, come unto me. And if you come unto me, I will give you rest. On Monday night, I said to the public, to the Christian people, yes, we know that Jesus saves. But brothers and sisters, black people need a living Jesus. We need one now that can save us from this wretched condition. And I'm humbly telling you, I have met that Jesus. And that Jesus is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He ain't no white man. Never was. He's one of your own brothers. And in his mouth is a knowledge that will save your life. How do you know that Elijah Muhammad is that Jesus? Because I am his student and I am his witness.
All praises due to Allah. I just want to briefly make a correction. I said the phone number wrong for Muhammad Mosque number 6. The phone number is 410-367-9371. 410-367-9371. With that being stated, Brother West, if you mind, close us out in prayer. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Attention prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Rahman Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, family.
we have